Stimulus season is still on, and we have yet another contender in the ring for a stimulus package. Don't worry guys, if you guys are sick of this stimulus type content, I'll be posting less and less of it and more business content as time goes on. So first we had the $2,000 a month stimulus package that everyone heard about, and then we had the cancellation of rent and mortgage stimulus package, and now we have a third one that amounts to about $14,000 every single year. $1,000 payment a month with a $2,000 payment up front. So let's cover our bases with the first two packages first, starting with that $2,000 a month package. That proposal would include $2,000 a month for at least 6 months to all U.S. citizens who are 16 and older and make less than $130,000 per year. The payments would continue until employment is back to pre-COVID levels, and all Americans will be eligible, even those who are claimed as dependents. The free rent and mortgage program, just a quick summary here. The free rent and mortgage forgiveness would cover the rent or mortgage on your primary residence, not additional residences. No negative impact would be placed on your credit rating or rental history, and it would create a relief fund for mortgage lenders and landlords in order to receive some money back for the fact that they're not charging rent. Additional funding would be added for more affordable housing. Now, I personally think the free rent or mortgage program, it would be a logistical nightmare when I'm comparing it to any other type of just cash stimulus program. There's just way too much paperwork that'd be required. We're seeing what these systems can handle and all the chaos that happens with just a simple payment. I did a whole video on this, so I won't go into it too much, but it seems to me like a cash payment would be much more simple. Let them work out the kinks on this first one, and then if there's a second one, do some other kind of cash payment type stimulus. This newest proposal is called the ABC proposal, standing for Automatic Boost to Communities. They love their acronyms in the government. This act would provide every single American with a $2,000 payment up front, and then every month they would reload those cards with an additional $1,000 until 1 year after the COVID disaster ends. This is one criticism I have with it. I'm going to talk about what I like and don't like along the way. I think that needs to be defined a little bit better as to what exactly the end of COVID is. I liked how with the $2,000 a month stimulus, they defined it with the employment ratio. They say once the employment ratio is back to 60%, then the stimulus package would end. By just saying that they're going to keep going until the COVID disaster is over, I mean, what does that even mean? Does that mean only 1,000 people have it, only 5 people have it, 0 people have it? So what exactly does that mean? There needs to be some more defining there. Otherwise, it's just going to turn into something where they just continue on payments so certain people can get more votes and whatever. I don't want to get into that. But moving on, the bill calls for the use of prepaid debit cards to assist those who don't have banks or don't have access to check cashing services. I like this part because it helps people who don't have addresses, people who don't have banks, other groups that would easily fall through the cracks, such as homeless people. This would eliminate all the issues with the direct deposit payments that we're having. So many people don't even have the direct deposit payments. So if it's just on this reloadable card, you're just guaranteed. You get your card, there's your $2,000. And basically everyone would be included in this. This is one of the main goals of this program, would be to include as many people as possible, including taxpayers, dependents, non-citizens, individuals who don't have a bank account, social security number, or permanent address, people living in unincorporated territories or protectorates, and Americans living abroad, non-citizens, including permanent residents, undocumented individuals, and temporary visitors whose stay exceeds 3 months. So with the dependent part, that's where the numbers get pretty crazy in my opinion. This proposal gives this following example of a family of 4 people, so 2 dependents, 2 parents, 2 children, being eligible to receive a prepaid debit card for each taxpayer and each dependent. So in this example, that couple with 2 children would receive 4 debit cards with $2,000 on each, so a total of $8,000 up front, and then they would receive $1,000 a month for each tax-paying adult, or each adult, and then each dependent. So an additional $4,000 every single month. So that would come out to $52,000 for a family of 4. We would definitely see some additional children around if that package passes. let me tell you that. So to ensure that everyone receives the payment, the US Treasury would work with basically every other government agency to make one comprehensive list of everyone they possibly can, including tax records, driver's license records. They just want to include everyone they can with a list to make sure everyone gets included. That sounds like a logistical nightmare. I'm not sure. I can't imagine how easy that would be. Anyways. So how would the money be distributed? Like I said, it'd be on those prepaid debit cards, and mostly they would be sent through mail, which we're seeing our issues with that. There would be in-person pickup available as well, and at-risk outreach as well. All individuals with an active address on file with any government agency would have a card sent to them via that address through the mail. In-person pickup would apply to those who do not have a permanent address, as well as permanent residences, undocumented individuals, and temporary visitors whose stay exceeds 3 months. At-risk outreach would address those who are elderly, homeless, disabled, or those who live in remote areas. So that's great that the main focus of this is making sure everyone gets covered. I think that's great. I think if they're going to have a program like this, they ought to do it in a way that covers absolutely everyone. However, this is where my fraud radar is just going off, because I can think of so many situations in which people could defraud this situation, steal other people's debit cards, get money not deserved to them. I mean, an important part of this package is getting the payment to everyone. But with in-person pickup, how would someone without an ID verify who they are if they haven't already got a payment? I mean, if an ID isn't required, more people will be able to get the stimulus payment, which is great. However, that would also mean anyone could walk in and say, hey, I'm so-and-so, I'm here for my debit card. What's stopping someone from, walking into 10 different outreach areas and saying they're someone? Or whoever's handing out these cards, what's stopping that person from looking at the list and being like, oh, we haven't found these 5 people, let me just go ahead and register those cards and go to the ATM and pull out some money, or just use it next time I'm at the store. I could see the same issue happening in nursing homes, where they're registering it for a resident who's there who doesn't understand what exactly is going on. I hate to make this negative, but I'm always thinking about, like, we want to make the system as legitimate as possible. I'm sure you guys can think of some other situations in the comments, and maybe you can think of some solutions. Like, is there anything you can think of that would both cause less fraud and get more people to be able to receive their payments if they're eligible? I'd be really interested to see what exactly you guys have to say on that. So how can the funds be used? They outline this. They state that the debit cards can be used to make purchases at stores or online, make cash withdrawals at ATMs, which I think is an important part, to make that available for everyone, people who just want cash and a deal in cash. And cardholders would have the ability to top up the card whenever they wanted, so they could just use it as a debit card, as normally they could just have that one card where, it would just be like any other debit card that you have, a prepaid card. So how would this be paid for? Now, this is really interesting. The idea is that this ABC Act would be paid for with 2 $1 trillion coins. Now, that isn't satire. That isn't an exaggeration. They're literally talking about two coins, platinum coins, worth $1 trillion each. So I found this really interesting as I was doing more and more research on it, so I might have to do an entire video just on this, breaking down how this even works. But basically, there's a loophole where the Treasury could potentially fund this program without increasing the debt ceiling by literally minting 2 $1 trillion platinum coins. It seems ridiculous. It doesn't even seem like, I don't know. So this concept was originally created in 1992 when presidential candidate Bo Gritz used the idea as a way for the Treasury to pay down the national debt. And since its introduction of the concept, it hasn't been used, but every 5 or 10 years, it seems like someone brings it up as an idea to solve some situation that's currently going on, and then other people refute it. And I don't know, if you look at the Wikipedia page, there's an entry every 5 or 10 years where someone tried to use it, someone shot it down. it's really interesting, the story of this. So like I said, many people are against this because it undermines the system of checks and balances we have. It would basically allow the Treasury or the executive branch to just mint coins, to make more money without approval. So it kind of like diminishes this three-house system that we have. So there's a lot of issues with it. Also could potentially create some negative inflationary effects, because if it increased the overall supply of money too rapidly, it could decrease the value of money, but there's a lot of other factors to consider when thinking about inflation. I made a whole video exactly on that, and what this current stimulus will do to inflation if you're interested in that. So that's everything we currently know about this $14,000 a year, $1,000 a month stimulus. I'm really curious, what are your guys' thoughts on this? I mean, we're probably going to have another proposal, and with this one, even if this one does end up going through, I could probably see a watered down version of it. Likely in that dependent department is where I would expect to see some decreases. Maybe it'd go down to $500 per dependent per month or something like that. A lot of times with these systems, they set the really high bar and then are willing to settle for somewhere in the middle. Basically, the longer that this COVID chaos goes on, the more likely there are to be, some additional stimulus package. So that's why I'm keeping you guys updated on this, on what exactly is going on, and then breaking down the interesting things in there, like these $2 trillion coins, something that I would have never known of until they presented this. So I think that stuff's really interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching. That's all I have for today. Until next time, hope you have a profitable day.